light middleweight championship, and this fight, the main event, is one that I think everybody's been talking about, the build-up, for a long time. We've been talking about this fight behind the scenes for a while. It hasn't materialised. Sometimes a lack of time, sometimes the venues were looked at, and now we've got it in Newcastle. And as I said, having spoke to the WBA, an official eliminator for the world title on October the 19th. Lewis Ritson, we start with you. Big fight for you, up at light welterweight, and a huge opportunity for you to burst through onto the world scene.
Yeah, massive opportunity back in home city Newcastle. You've seen the atmosphere through the roof the last twice we've been here, and it'll be again. You know, 1,000 tickets gone already. Probably do double that, so we'll be ready on the night, and we'll see what Robbie brings.
Obviously, you're quite renowned for being a bit of a quiet guy, and I think the build-up in the last fight where you both boxed on the same card almost took everybody by surprise, from both of you really. And I think that's great for the fight because there's so much at stake. But does that add anything to your development? I've never seen you really have any bad blood towards an opponent before. Does that change you mentally for that fight, or give you a little bit more spite?
No, it doesn't change anything at all, just stating facts. When I used to write a few things on social media, you know, it wasn't me that backed out the 2 fights. He said he wasn't ready, it wasn't me. We went to Liverpool, fought in his backyard, and
stop going on about like,
he's come to Liverpool.
I'm here now, aren't I? I told you to come here, and I'm here.
Yeah, you're here because you're getting the career best payday, and you can't sell Liverpool. You can't sell out Liverpool where you can in Newcastle. That's why you're here. No. That's the reason you're here, nothing else.
No, I'm here because there was no Liverpool show to have this fight, and they said you want to fight Ritson. My manager sorted a few minor details, and I was like, let's go.
Yeah, they won't, pal. They won't.
Lewis, how do you see yourself winning this fight? Obviously, you dominated domestically at 135, moved up to European level. Obviously, the weight was tight for you, up at 140 now. What have you seen from Robbie Davies Jr? How do you rate this fight? How do you see yourself winning this fight?
Well, just got to turn up on the night. You know, I'm not daft. I know it's going to be a tough fight. You know, it really should be for the European title as well, but we'll not go there because he's taking his fit already about that. And you know, he's didn't scrape past Joe Hughes.
That European title.
He didn't even win. The
only reason I even got that European title is to take this fight with you, Eddie. What happened with my purse bid?
That's true, you wanted this fight.
Exactly. There was no bid for my European title. I did not want to give that up at all. I'd be happy for that to be for the European title now. The only reason I am not European champion now is because I'm taking this fight. Facts.
Lewis, I'll ask you, do you see yourself winning this fight inside the distance? And how important is this fight for you, for your career? Obviously, you had the setback against Patera. This is a must-win fight for you in terms of where you want to go.
I think it's important for both of them. We've got a defeat on the record. So, like I say, we'll see on the night, but I reckon I'll win, he reckons he wins. So we're going to lay it on the line, aren't we? We'll see what he turns up with. And like I say, I'm confident I'm going to be the winner. He's confident he's going to be the winner. And we're going to get it on, aren't we?
Robbie, obviously you've said a few things already, but this fight you do have to get the respect coming to Newcastle. You came to Newcastle to box Glenfoot for the British title as well. You won that fight. This is obviously a much bigger challenge than that as well, but you feel very passionately about taking this fight. And do you feel you're making a statement here coming to Newcastle for this fight?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the last time I was up here, I was fighting a Sunderland lad in Newcastle. Now I'm fighting a Newcastle lad in Newcastle, so obviously it's a bigger occasion, especially for the likes of all the Newcastle fans as well. But I can tell you now, I was more nervous getting up here when I was fighting Glenfoot, because he just looked like he was going to butt me or something. He was on edge all the time. But this initial spat started with me and Lewis because of Twitter. But it wasn't that I was chatting crap or whatever like Lewis has been saying. When the fight got put to me, I'm still British and European champion at the time, and I'm like, why am I going to Newcastle? Tell them we'll have it in Liverpool. And Neil goes to my manager, no, they don't want it in Liverpool. So maybe, yeah. But so I'm on one phone to Neil, and then I'm tweeting on the other, saying, don't worry, he's not coming to Liverpool, doesn't want it. But don't worry, I'll go to Newcastle.
There you are. We got offered you for the next gen show, we said yes. That's why we fought Liverpool.
Paul
Yes, we did.
rang us and said, do you want to go on the Liverpool show? Not against Lewis. We're going to just put the two of them on it in 2 title fights. So they didn't even ask you for that, so I don't even know where that initially came from.
Do you want to see the text messages on the manager's phone?
It doesn't matter.
Honestly, man.
It doesn't matter what your manager's saying. It's facts of what the team is saying. It doesn't matter what your manager's feeding to you. And then at the end, yeah, exactly. No one asked us to fight Lewis Ritson on the 2nd of August. We wouldn't have been able to take the fight anyway because we wouldn't have made the weight in time. But initially, all they asked us was, do you want to fight on a title fight on the 2nd of August? Not against Lewis. We'll put the two of them on the same show in 2 title fights. And we went, nah, Robbie will do an 8-rounder at welterweight. That was the end of it. So really, the only one we knocked back was the original, and that was because I would have only had like 7-8 weeks to train, and for someone as big as me,
time was certainly the problem for that day.
Definitely. But as you seen me, I was like a middleweight, so there was no way I would have made the weight in time. And then moving across, then they come to us and said about fighting on this show. If I didn't want the fight originally in Liverpool, why would I then agree to come to Newcastle?
Because you got more time.
The only reason I've got no title is because to take this fight with you, otherwise I could have just fought Sandelman and kept my European title, or at least fought him for it.
Robbie, you want to be in big fights. This is a big fight. Do you feel the pressure coming to Newcastle? We know there's going to be 8,000-9,000 in the arena. We know you bringing a bucket load from Liverpool as well, but you seem to have got a bit between your teeth for this fight. You don't look overly happy, but you seem very focused.
No, I'm not really one to deal with confrontation, but when people are spilling lies that I don't want fights and I don't want to do this and that, it just pisses me off, because I know for a fact I will take a fight with anyone that's put in front of me, especially if the deal's right. It don't matter where it is, because once the 2 years are in that ring, I've actually heard Lewis say this himself, once the 2 years are in that ring, it does not matter in the world where you are. It does not matter, unless you think that you're going to go up north and all of a sudden the judges are going to be on his side instead of your own. They're all British judges. It's just a fair fight. Once the 2 years are in there, you just get it on, and whoever wins, wins. So I'll fight him anywhere. It did not bother me initially. But the only problem with me was making the weight and making sure I do it eligible and in time.
Let's talk about the fight. Talk to me about Lewis Ritson as a fighter, and talk to me about what you've seen in the past from him and what you expect on October the 19th.
Well, in the past when he was lightweight, he absolutely blew through the division, but some of them in the division weren't even in the best of shape, and some of them took fights on late notice and things like that, but that's no fault of Lewis's. Obviously, he just got in there and done what he had to do, and he absolutely blew them away. When he fought Patera, who was a big solid lightweight, who obviously had experience and things like that, that was his first real fight where it was like back and forth exchanges, you win around, he wins around, things like that, and he fell short. And now that he said he's moved up a weight, because the reason he lost was more down to him not being at his best rather than Patera being better than him. Now that he's moved up a weight, he still hasn't fought any legitimate 10 stones. It's alright saying he's going to be as big as me on the night, but you're not getting hit back by legitimate light welters in them fights. I just feel that my experience being in with the bigger men and the stronger men and going into the later rounds, definitely I feel like I'll be able to come on strong, and no matter, regardless of it being in Newcastle, I might walk in that arena getting booed, but I will walk out of there getting applauded, because I'll win the respect of the crowd.
You've been involved in some great fights, obviously against Foot and against Joe Hughes. Do you see this being a brutal fight with Lewis Ritson? Obviously, that not just world championship careers on the line as well, but there is that domestic rivalry as well. You see this being quite a brutal fight on October 19th?
Yeah, definitely. Like in British boxing now, there hasn't really been many rivalries, and I think with the few spats me and Lewis have had, it's made a bit of tension between us, and obviously it's captured the imaginations of all the fight fans. But going into this fight, I'm 100% confident here. I say it again and again, like I would not be taking a fight up in Newcastle in someone's back garden if I wasn't confident in the fight. I expect Lewis to bring his A game. He's going to come, he's going to be strong, he's going to be throwing bombs, especially like he does in the early few rounds, but I'll ride that storm. I know I will. I'm the bigger man and I will be on the night, and once that storm's I will drown him in Newcastle.
Thank you, Robbie Davies. A good way to end. This is a brilliant, brilliant fight. And of course, two great fights up here. The British Super Welterweight Championship between Ted Cheeseman and Scott Fitzgerald, and the WBA World Championship Eliminator between Ritson and Robbie Davies Jr. Dave Allen on the card, Savannah Marshall on the card, Joe Laws on the card, Lawrence Osecki on the card, and plenty more to be announced this week as well. Like I said, tickets flying in the pre-sale, went on sale today. We can't thank you enough for your support of the fighters, of the sport of boxing in the North East, because last time, I have to say, was just one of the most incredible atmospheres. This time, you've got a genuine, great rivalry, domestic rivalry, and great all-British fight, not just on the main event, but on the co-main event as well. So thank you for coming today, and we'll see you on October 19th. We're going to have head-to-heads. Take that, we'll stand either side of that.
Well,